out of the 39 years it's been in existence. And I was the swap meet chairman of that club. And that's how I ended up continuing this thing on when the club disbanded. But as it turns out, I didn't mind doing it then because it was one building, Building A, and there was about 5 or 10 guys outside. That was it. Now, all 7 buildings were sold out last year, and probably another 150 vendors outside. So it is now the largest in the world. We're proud of it, and probably the one thing we enjoy the most is the fact that when this thing first started, it was like the only bicycle swap meet in America. Now, you look on the internet and anything else, and it's like there's almost one every weekend, which is great, okay? Because it is supporting the hobby and keeping it going. And strange thing about doing this swap meet, I've never been in the bicycle business. I never owned a bike shop or anything like that. I was with Chrysler. And I've been asked, why? What in the hell makes you want to keep this thing going? I says, dumb like a fox. I said, think about it. I got everybody now in America bringing everything to me. And you know what? They're paying me to do it. Okay? So why not? It's a chance to see everything and meet an awful lot of wonderful people. And because of where we're located, West Coast and East Coast, they use this as their meeting. And I will put in a plug for Memory Lane. They are going to have a swap meet this year. Lisa is going to continue it on, and she's got somebody to help her. So that's a go, which we really appreciate it. Because it turns it into an entire bicycle week, okay? If you go to the museum in Ohio, or you go to Bicycle Heaven, coming from the East Coast in Pittsburgh, and you come to Ann Arbor, you can, people call me, they're doing their vacation schedule for the year. And they want to know where everything is so they can plan their vacation schedule and make a week out of it, which is great. One cute story, I get a call from a lady in Las Vegas, and she wants to know where the airport is, Metro Airport. I said, it's, 15, 20 minutes away from the swap meet, no big deal. She bought her husband a round trip ticket for his birthday, because he had always wanted to come to the show. So I thought that was very nice. So I got some flyers back there. There's some handouts. I brought some more business cards. If anybody wants to take anything, if you got a bike shop or something near you, you want to post some information, please. I brought some stuff here that you're welcome to take. Outside of that, I brought a steam bike, okay? And this little bugger was sitting in a basement in Fremont, Michigan, almost 50 some years. And the story behind it, for which I know some, not everything, but probably the most interesting thing when I went to pick this up from a guy named Ted Splitstone, this bike is titled as a motorbike in the state of Pennsylvania. This has a legitimate title as a motorbike. And it says right on there, 10/22/51 homemade motorbike. So it still carries a legitimate title, okay? And the only reason I won't register it here in Michigan is I have to forfeit this title to do that. And I don't want to give this bugger up, okay? So this is pretty neat that this thing is even titled. The current bike is on a 1923 Columbia frame. It was originally on a 1910, as far as they know. The family did give me the badge off the original frame, and it's a Model 55. So whatever significance that has, this apparently is what the original frame was. As it turns out, these guys were machinists, and there was Donald Stewart and George Ingram. And the state of Pennsylvania, they certified the boiler. It's got a plate on there certified by the state of Pennsylvania that this is a good boiler. So when you take that bugger off, that's what's inside, okay? And there might be like 30 feet of copper in here. This is a fuel tank. It has a little air pump, so you can pump up the fuel tank to pressurize it to feed the boiler, okay?
What was the fuel?
Kerosene, white gas, if you will.
Like coal and fuel.
It's got a control valve here for the boiler. They said it took about 10 minutes for this thing to fire up. This is the water tank where you put in your water. The pump, there's an auxiliary pump that feeds off of the main cylinder. that would pump water back to the boiler. This thing fires up. I'm sure this is an asbestos coated piece of pipe, okay? That would feed the steam into the chamber for the steam engine. It is still free and moving. It came with 2 pressure gauges, one for the fuel and the other one for the steam. You have a control throttle here as to how fast you want it to go, which I've never tried and I won't. Okay. You had a plunger here for the fuel as to how much fuel you wanted to give it. It still has the original hookup. It has its brakes, okay? They didn't disconnect any of that. So there's a dual chain. You got the chain that drives it, and then you still have the regular standard chain to the rear wheel. When I got this thing, the tires were totally rotted. I mean, there were mushrooms growing over the tires. I did find an original set of tires that matched what was on there. And it took me 6 hours to take this apart and get the new tire on it with all the contraption and everything that's all hooked up. But I did get a tire on the back so we can roll it now. As it turns out, from the best of our knowledge, this would go to steam shows. And it would be put on display, and he would just fire it up and let everybody see how it ran. There is a reference in the article that it did go to Hershey one time, and that it was put on display at Hershey. And they also made a comment. This is a letter that was written to Ted Splitstone, Harry Splitstone's son. And it says, "Hi Ted, my name is Thomas Ingram. So I talked to you a good while back about selling the steam-powered bike that my grandfather, George Ingram, helped to build. You want to know, do you still have it? Are you interested in selling it?" And so forth. And at that time, no, he wasn't, okay? He said, "My dad is 87 years young and would like to see it." Well, he sent him photos of it so that he could see what it looked like. But apparently, Tom Ingram never saw this bike when he was alive. It had changed hands. It went to the Stewart family. And in 1946, the Stewart family sold it to the gentleman who got the title for this thing, a guy by the name of Russell Gay. He kept it for about 7 or 8 years, and that's when it changed hands and Harry Splitstone bought it. He found it advertised in a hobby magazine. He bought it for $275 in 1956 or 7, thereabouts. And it had stayed in that family until I was given the opportunity to acquire it. And part of the reason he was willing to let it go was the fact that I promised this would be on display at the Ann Arbor meet for everybody to see. We'd get a lot of exposure. By trade, I'm a mechanical engineer. I love this thing, okay? This is right up my alley. We may fire it up someday, but if we do, I'm looking, and I've had people trying to figure out for me how to hook an air compressor to it so that we could pressurize it with air and let it, cycle and not steam, okay, for safety reasons. This is an original Hunt seat, and I've seen a seat like this restored. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, but I don't really think a restored seat should be on here. So yes, if I ever find a Hunt seat that's original, I'm more than happy to put it on here. So I'll put my word out to everybody. I'm looking for a Hunt seat like this one, if possible.
I'll trade you the bike for the seat.
Yeah, I know. So as it turns out, my intention is to hold on to this thing and see what we can do with it. And if we can make it more displayable, who knows, it may end up here at Greenfield Village for anything for all I know. Any questions about the bike? Yes, sir.
Is there any record of anybody riding it?
Yes, from the standpoint from the article, Ted mentioned that he would ride it around the yard. He had a farm, and he would ride it at the farm, okay? But I don't know, as far as I can tell, it was never licensed here in Michigan to actually take out on the road. But he said he has driven it, and this thing is so heavy in the back that the steering is, it's like it doesn't even touch the ground. You hit a bump or something, this thing's liable to just flip over on you. But it is quite an interesting piece of work. being the fact that these guys worked for the White Steam Car Company in Cleveland at the time. They were machinists, they had their own machine shop, and the story was that they built this to try and talk the steam car company, White Steam Car Company, into possibly building steam-powered bikes. And they turned them down. So this is their example that they built, and it's a Rube Goldberg machine if there ever was one, but it is cool, and I'm very happy and proud to be the caretaker of this thing.
Is there two,
Yes.
is there two coming off?
I got a friend who's a great granddaughter of Stanley Steamer.
Oh, goodness.
Unbelievable. And her husband owns the Roper Steam bicycle,
Oh, that's got quite-
1893.
Yes, that is probably one of the most.
Have you heard of that one?
I've seen photos of it, okay, and isn't that the story where he was racing it?
Yes,
And
and
he was.
he died on the
He
machine.
died on the bike while he was racing it.
They got it before he fell with it.
Yeah,
Of a heart attack.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So, as it turns out. If this works okay, I do have a little video, it's only about 2 minutes long, of Ted explaining the bike to me when I went to pick it up. So I'd like to share that with you if I get a chance here. Great.
Hey, Rich. Was your train for operating steam powered? You ever operated steam powered?
I think the train is very it's exhaust. It lets it condense
So the light,
back into water. There's a tube that goes up to the water tank. I'm not quite sure if there's what the suction is that pulls the water back up.
Okay, do I look good here?
The exhaust pressure pushes it back up or what? You won't have enough
First two
water.
people, there was two people that built this. One of the gentlemen died and it sat for about 20 years. Okay. And then when the second gentleman got it from that family that my father got it from, he changed the wooden wheels and put metal wheels on it. Because the bicycle itself was a very early, I think they said like a 2000 or a 1910 or 1903, 1905, something like that, Columbia bicycle. Okay. But that gentleman changed it to metal wheels just for safety, and the wood was probably. Well, then I noticed he also went and reinforced the rear wheel with extra braces. Yeah. Okay. Because steam power. Good safe. It's got a lot of power.
And the guys that built this originally, that article said this was, they tried to get the White Steam Motor Company involved in this.
They both worked for the White Steam.
They worked for the White Steam.
Yeah, I think this is kind of like Johnny Cash's Cadillac. You know, I think a lot of these parts were probably built at work, at home, to their garage, and were hoping that, all right, you know, okay, that it would turn into something that maybe they could prototype and get some money out of. But then, at that time, that's when the gasoline motorcycles were coming out, and the White Steam Car Company actually went out of business, and gasoline took over.
Okay.
So that was Ted, okay? He was the one that I acquired it from. And, I mean, he's well up in his 60s, if you will. And one thing here, if this will, okay. That is a Hunt seat, okay? That's in a lot better shape than mine. So, this is how we discovered the name
It's also
Hunt,
girls.
right
But that's a
there.
lady's
that's
seat.
the way you see.
Is it?
Although
Okay.
yours could be too.
Yeah, I guess this one could be also.
Pretty short.
So, this is what we're looking for. And nobody will tell me where this seat is, so I guess he just sent me a picture of it, okay? So anyways, I appreciate it very much. Thanks for the opportunity, and you know, hopefully you get a chance, you can come out and see us at the Ann Arbor Classic Bike Show in Swap Meet. Love to have you. And hopefully you have a great time.
Right.